So you can probably see this is just my kind of a room at home that I've made my office room for now. But like, so we're still working from home, although we do plan to get back to the office sometime yeah, in January. So assuming Omicron permits, we've been remote ever since we started work from ever since March, right? Ever since COVID first hit. So we've been remote. We've never been to the office. But what we found over time is a lot of, especially junior folks on the team have benefited a lot from the little in-person interaction that we've had. And really, people benefit from, one thing that we've observed a lot is that people, it's really challenging for junior folks to, figure out who they can learn from, who's the best person to learn what from, and to develop that rapport and communication. So we're planning to work from the office 2 to 3x a week, starting January. Of course, everything still depends on what goes on with the new variant. But yeah, we are planning to start an office in HSR. Then we hope to have our product and engineering teams together over there. That's kind of what we're planning to do. They definitely are not. So definitely there are. So definitely we are going to be hybrid in the sense that we're definitely not going to come into the office 5 days a week. I think that everyone's clear on that. I don't want to spend all that time commuting in Bangalore. It's a waste of effort. Why were we all doing this before COVID? I don't know. But definitely what we've seen is that some in-person collaboration actually is really beneficial to teams. It helps people build trust with each other, lean on each other. And so that's something that we're hoping to really facilitate going back in whatever shape and form we can. Yeah. At Wingman, we are building a B2B SaaS product for sales teams. What Wingman does is, so if you're an inside sales rep, typically you're working from home, you're selling your product over a Zoom call. So this is fun. Wingman has a bot that will actually look at your calendar, figure out what calls you're having with customers, join them, record them, transcribe them, analyze them in real time, and give you insights on how to sell better. Some of these are during the call itself, like, often new sales reps are taught to listen to their customers more while they tend to talk a lot. Wingman will say, hey, you've been speaking nonstop for a couple of minutes. Why don't you pause and ask a question? And it also tells managers what are the deals that I should focus on, what are the things that are at risk based on the actual content of the conversation the reps are having with customers. That's what Wingman does. Actually, like, this is something I've faced during so I've worked, the first half of my career was at a hard charging startup, right, where, the fast growing Silicon Valley startup. We were like literally, our CEO was very he built himself on a Steve Jobs mindset of driving people very hard. And then the second half of my career was at Google, where, it's really chilled out place. You could, lots of people were coasting. You could do, these are overloaded on perks and stuff, and you could. But I really found what my experience has been a mix of these two. At Google, actually, after the first couple of years, I was deeply unsatisfied because it was I was not I didn't feel like my work was important. I think that's something that's really. That's something that's really important. I tell my team a lot often that startups are where you can get work that you're unqualified to do. Everybody is always looking to hire people who are qualified, but at startup you're looking for people who will grow and who will grow really quickly and can take on and do meaningful work, right? Work that makes you feel challenged, work that makes you feel fulfilled. We do create an environment where you don't burn out, where you can thrive. If you're working all the time, it's horrible. I've also seen that side of things. You're going to burn out and not be able to do great work. But we really want to create a workplace where you can do the best work of your life. That's what we want to do at Wingman. And a lot of folks say that the best part about Wingman is that is the team in like basically how smart everyone is and how kind and helpful they are. Like those are the two things that I think that's the key ingredient that actually makes a great work environment possible. Yeah. So at Wingman, the engineers in particular, like often just like how technically challenging the product is to build, especially on the infrastructure team. It's technically a super challenging thing, and a lot of people enjoy that challenge, and those are the folks that thrive. And the other thing that people like is that the senior members of the team, the founders, and the early team members are all really helpful and approachable. Like they really we strive to create that culture where people help the new folks do amazing work, and not just like how do I create a career path for them? How do I create growth? How do I create learning? That's an attitude a lot of the early folks in the company carry, and that's something people really appreciate. Yeah, I can't. I mean, I wouldn't say this is why people leave, because we've only had two folks leave so far, and they've left to do, what they take on what they think are bigger roles with earlier stage companies. That's the only reason people have left the company. But I think the two most frustrating things, if you ask our our engineering teams, like doing anything hard is frustrating. Really, like if you're taking on anything challenging, then it's frustrating 80% of the time. The real joy is in the final 20%. So inherently doing hard things has a lot of challenges, and that's frustrating. And things, you'll make a timeline, things don't exactly go to plan. You will come up with roadblocks, you'll have to solve them, and the ownership is on you to solve them. Like that's something that is essentially a frustrating part of doing anything hard. That's something a lot of our engineering team runs into often. The other thing is, on the product engineering team, we make engineers actually responsible for the user experience. Like our engineers take ownership to make sure, like a PM's not owning the user experience, the engineers own the user experience. This is different from how people have built, engineers have worked at other companies, right? This is something new. In the beginning, they don't, it takes them time to fully embrace, adopt, and learn to work as a product engineer as opposed to like a front-end engineer or full stack engineer. So that's something that takes time to get used to, and to really understand why am I building this, understand the user perspective, understand users, and to own that user experience is a challenge for people. Then the obvious things, right? Like, of course, you mentioned like unethical behaviors definitely going to get folks in a lot of trouble. But the one thing that we really expect folks is to take ownership for their work, right? Because this is one of the joys of working at a startup, but also one of the most important things that you've got to take ownership of what you work on, drive it, seek help, and we've all the folks, people who cannot do that, and we get a lot of help. We'll get a lot of help from others in the company, as long as you take ownership. And if you don't take ownerships, when you will struggle at a place like Wingman. Wingman's well funded, fast growing. We make a lot of revenue. So they're building a very technically challenging product. So we're trying to hire incredibly smart folks to do it. So we definitely index very high on compensation. In terms of among the top tier of candidates, we probably will be in the 80 to 90th percentile in terms of salary, and definitely in the top 95th percentile in terms of equity. And really, like what I really want is, as a company, if we are successful, right, I want a lot of the team to make game-changing wealth. Like that's really, part of the draw of startups, right? We work very hard, and when something great happens, I want the team to have a successful outcome that changes life meaningfully. So that's something we strive for. So we definitely index very high on that. And of course, we compete with the best in terms of compensation. I think you should join Wingman if you're looking to do work that is satisfying, challenging, with incredibly smart folks who will propel you, who will like challenge you, propel you to do meaningful work that you're proud of. Right, that's why folks come and join Wingman. That's what they enjoy about working at Wingman. I think why you should not come to Wingman if I think I'm concur with Vinny there. We have similar things. Like basically, if you expect things to be extremely easy, where you don't have to figure things out, where things are given to you on a plate, then Wingman's not a place for you. At Wingman, you will have to figure out things. You'll have to figure out how to make progress. And if that's something that you enjoy, then Wingman will be a great place for you. If that's something that you don't enjoy, then perhaps a later stage, more mature company is a better fit for you.